Hi everyone. So my dear students, today we are going to start a new chapter which is the solution and which is very interesting part in the physical chemistry. And by studying these solutions, we can easily understand many things. And today I will tell you exactly what are the solutions, what are the major topics in the solution. So which can occur in all the competitive exams or whatever may be. So we will understand the solutions part. So let us take in this particular solution. So we are having actually these particular topics. So the contents which are Henry law, Raoult's law, ideal solution, non-ideal solution, and the fractional distillation and the partial miscible liquids. So in this solution topic, you are having these topics: Henry's law, Raoult's law, ideal solution, non-ideal solution, fractional distillation, and the azeotropic mixtures and the partial miscible liquids. So these are the contents which in the solutions part. So majorly these particular topics are very important for the semester exams and also for the competitive exams like IIT exam. And in the competitive exams, generally these particular azeotropic mixtures. So these azeotropic mixtures and this Raoult's law and Henry's law, these are very important. But the semester, every topic is very important, and every topic generally it will come in the examinations. So let us understand one by one what is Henry's law, Raoult's law, ideal solution, non-ideal solution. Everything we will understand one by one. So let me start with this Henry's law. So first of all, this is a solutions chapter. So before this, you must understand the liquids, and then you can easily understand this solution. So what is a solution actually? The solution means nothing but any solution. So solution is nothing but it consisting of two component, that is solute and solvent. And we can say by combining this solute and solvent, we can say it is a solution. So you must understand one thing here, that so in particular solution there will be two components. One is solute and another one is solvent. So solute and solvent. So solute is nothing but the smaller portion present in the solution, and the solvent which is larger portion in a solution. This is a larger portion and this is a smaller portion. So let me tell you some example. So see here. So I will take you some examples. So let us take the sugar in water. Sugar in water. Or you can take the salt like NaCl plus water. So in case of this, let us take this is only 2 grams, and let us take it is 500 ml, half liter. Let us take it is 500 ml, and you can take 50 ml also, whatever maybe. It is a 2 grams. It is 500 ml like this, and this is a larger part, and this is a smaller part. That means the sodium chloride, which is only 2 grams, which is very less, the minute amount. So this particular NaCl and this sugar is called our solute, and this particular water which is solvent. So that you should understand here. So most of the times, always the sugar generally dissolved in the water molecule. So sugar is generally it is a solute, and the water which is solvent. So this is not 100% correct, because maybe sometimes water is a solute and sugar it may be also the solvent. So let us take, if you take, you can take 2 kgs of sugar, 2 kgs of sugar, and you can take only just, let us take only 10 ml of water, 10 ml of water. So see here, what happens here? 2 kgs of sugar, that means plenty of sugar is there. 10 ml of water, which is very less. So in that case, the water which is a solute, and the 2 kg of sugar which is solvent here. So you must understand here, the solution is nothing but a combination of two components. So one may be a solute and another may be a solvent. So always the solute which is a smaller in proportion, and the solvent which is in larger proportion. So that you must understand here. So let us start with one by one. So we will understand all these things. So see here, let us understand the terminology of the solution, and after that we will understand all those laws and the solutions: ideal solution, non-ideal solution. So first let us understand the terminology in the solution. So first, what is a solution? Solution is nothing but it is a combination of a solute and the solvent. So generally the solute is a smaller in proportion, and the solvent which is larger in proportion. And now see here. So why actually the solution? Why we need to discuss this particular solution? Because most of the chemical reactions are generally occur in the solution phase. Generally to occur the solution phase, so the solution is nothing but a combination of two components, that is solute and solvent. So generally in a solution, majorly they are the liquid phase generally, because all the particular components can easily dissolve in a liquid phase. So generally the most of the chemical reactions will occur in the solution phase only. Generally the most of the chemical reactions will occur in the liquid phase. So hence we have to study the this particular solution chapter and see here. So what happens, the solution, and see here. So the solute is a small quantity and the solvent is a larger quantity. So let us understand this table, which is very, very important here. So see here. So you can understand here that the solute and solvent, and these are the example. The solvent and solute. Solute may be a solid. So generally the physical states of matter, we are having the solid phase, liquid phase, and a gaseous phase. So we are having these three phases. That means you have to understood that solute is a smaller quantity and solvent is a larger quantity. And the solute and the solvent, maybe it may be a solid or it may be liquid or either it may be gaseous phase. So each solute and solvent, they may be different. Solids, it may be solid or liquid or gas. So you can take some example. So let us take if the solvent, which is a solid, if the solvent, so see here, if the solvent which is a solid here, so that means the larger quantity which is a solid, and here the solute which is also solid, that means it is a small quantity, it is a minor quantity, and this solid is a larger quantity. And again the solvent which is a larger quantity and liquid which is a smaller quantity, because this liquid is a solute, and again the solid which is a solvent and gas is a solute. So this solute is nothing but the smaller quantity, the smaller in the proportion. These particular, all these are the solute and these are the solvents and these are the examples. So you can easily understand this. So generally the solvent, you can take the solid. So first we will take the solid as a solvent. So these three are the solvents including the solids, and the solute which is solid, liquid and gas. So let us see this first case, the solid which is dissolved in a solid. So you have to understood that. So if you take the sodium chloride, NaCl plus water. So what happens? This is generally it is a solid, and this water which is a liquid here. That means here the liquid is a solvent here. The liquid is a solvent and the solid. So you have to understood that this sodium chloride which is a solute. So this solute which is a solid phase and the solvent which is liquid phase. By combining these two, we will get a particular mixture, we will get a particular mixture, and this particular mixture is only the liquid phase, it is only liquid phase completely. Whatever the solid phase, the sodium chloride, it can easily dissolve in the water molecule. So what happens here? So it forms a homogeneous solution, it forms a homogeneous solution. Homogeneous is nothing but homo, that means same, similar phase, same phase. So first, before the mixture, so generally the solid and liquid, two separate components are there, solid phase and the liquid phase. But after the mixing of those two, NaCl and water molecule, you will get only one phase, that is a liquid phase. So that is called the homogeneous. You can take the other example like sand water, sand and the water. So what happens? The sand is a solid and the water which is a liquid here. And sand is a, let us take, it is a solute, that is a lesser quantity, and water is a large quantity, that is a solvent. So when you add, so when you combine with this sand and salt, you will get a heterogeneous mixture, because the whatever the sand particles, they are deposited as a solid phase in the mixture. So on the upper layer, generally the water will be there. So you have to understood that whenever a solute is dissolved in a solvent, it can make a homogeneous solution or heterogeneous solution. So in this particular salt case or sugar case, you will get a homogeneous, because you are getting a clear solution. But in case of sand water, you cannot get a clear solution. Generally, the solid which will precipitated at the bottom here. So generally, it is deposited at the bottom here. That means it will make a heterogeneous solution. So you have to understood that when you are using two particular components, one is solid phase and another solid phase, or one is liquid phase, another solid phase. So this particular solid, it may completely dissolve or it may not dissolve. So if it is completely dissolved, definitely it is called a homogeneous solution. Because if it is completely dissolved, So you will get only a clear solution, that is a homogeneous solution. So if this particular solid is not dissolving, it is only depositing at the bottom. So that means it is a heterogeneous solution, heterogeneous solution. So that you should understand here. So let us see the first case, solid and solid. So this example which is alloys like brass and steel. You know that. So here the solid which is an solute and the solvent which is also a solid. So that means here alloys like brass. So what is brass? Brass, like brass is nothing but it means. So generally you know that brass is nothing but. So in Telugu we can call it as ittadi. So inumu ittadi, like that. So nothing but the generally the brass which consisting of a copper and zinc. Copper and zinc. So when you are adding these two particular metals, you will get a brass. And you can take the steel. Steel. So steel generally it consisting of iron with certain amount of chromium and some chromium, and also carbon will be there. So in case of the steel, generally the iron which is a solvent, iron which is a solvent, and the solute there are many particles like carbon, chromium, and there are other particles which are solute dissolved in this particular solvent. So here also the copper and zinc. You have to understood that both the particular component, the solid and solid. So both solute and solvent, they are completely miscible. They are completely dissoluted with each other. So mutually they can easily dissolve. They can easily dissolve them. So that means it forms a homogeneous. So you cannot get it. You cannot get the two separate distinct phases. So that means you can check the iron. So just simply you can take the brass or steel. You are looking only one phase, that is a solid phase. You cannot detect the two phases. So that means this particular solute and solute, you will get a homogeneous solution. Example which is a brass and a steel. So I will tell you the example of heterogeneous also. You can take the simply like rice. So rice, you can take the colored rice which is, and again you can take the wheat, nothing but like godumalu. You can take godumas or rice. So when you combine those, you will get a two separate component, because this is white in color, and this is somewhat brown in color. You know that. So the wheat somewhat they are in brown in color. So if you in a particular mixture, so you will get a brown color wheat, and the white color which is generally white color, you will get the rice. So that means you should understand here that, so it is a heterogeneous mixture. So it is a heterogeneous mixture. But in case of the solids like alloys, brass, and steels, they are generally the homogeneous, because both the solids are completely dissolving with each other. So that you should remember here. And then the solid which is a solvent here, solute also solid. The example which is brass and steel. And the next which is the liquid and a solid. So you have to understood here that the solid is a solvent and liquid as a solute. So that means the smaller quantity will be a liquid and the solid which is a larger quantity. So the best example which are mercury in a copper. So generally the amalgams are mostly the mercury amalgams. So mercury amalgams. Amalgam is nothing but the combination. Addition is called the combination, but it is a chemically it is different with the addition or combination. So amalgam is nothing but most of the amalgams are generally the combination of mercury with other metals like zinc, copper, potassium. So whatever there are many amalgams. You can take the silver. So these amalgams are generally used in the dental fillings. So in the dental case also, they can fill using this. I will show you the one diagram. So see here, these are the amalgams. So these are the amalgams. So see here, in case of dental fillings, they will use this as silver. So see here. So this particular, the teeth can be deposited with the amalgams like this. So I will show you some other example. So see here. So see here. So see here. So they will use a silver amalgam, the teeth generally which is deposited in the teeth like this. So generally the amalgams are nothing but they are the combination of metals with the mercury. So generally, so the amalgams are used in the dental fillings. And you have to understood here nothing but, so the amalgams, so amalgams in the mercury generally it is in a liquid phase, and the other metals are generally in a solid phase here. So you have to understood that all other solids like potassium amalgam, sodium amalgam, silver amalgam, and you can take the sodium, potassium, silver amalgam, and copper amalgam. You can take many zinc amalgam. There are many amalgams in which amalgam is nothing but Hg. It is a mixture with these all these metals. So all other metals are a solid phase. The liquid which is mercury, which is in a liquid phase. So mercury, which is in a very small proportion, and the solid, which is sodium, potassium, silver, copper, zinc, those are in a larger proportion, which is a solvent. So next, see here, the gas dissolved in a solid. So again, the gas which is dissolved in a solid. So see here, so gas which is dissolved in a solid. So that means the gas is very small quantity and the solid which is a larger quantity. Example, generally the adsorption of gases and the metals. So that is also very simple example. So you will study this particular adsorption of gases in the colloids and surface chemistry. In the surface chemistry, you will study this adsorption of chemistry. And this adsorption of gases is very important because the hydrogen, generally the hydrogen, so in the hydrogen, it can easily deposit hydrogen gas. It can easily deposited in platinum or palladium. So generally we will use as a reducing agent. We will use a reducing agent like this. So this particular H2, so it may be deposited on nickel. So this particular chemical reagent, these are used as a reducing agents. These are used as a reducing agents in the organic chemical reactions. So you have to know, you have to understand this thing also. So adsorption of gases and metals. So generally the hydrogen gas will absorb on a platinum, palladium, nickel like this. And the next, so those are the solid as a solvents. So now let us take the liquids as a solvent. So you have to understood that. So now we are seeing the liquid as a solvent. So liquid is a solvent. So that means here the solute may be solid, liquid or gas. So first let us take the solid which is dissolved in liquid. So that means you can take the simple example, that is a sugar. So you can take the simple sugar. So sugar, it can easily dissolve in. So 1 minute, I will show. So see here. So here in case of the solid and liquid, so I will take the best example. This is water molecule. So this is as a liquid which is a solvent, and you can add the sugar or you can add salt, NaCl or sugar, whatever may be. So this particular solid which can easily dissolve in the water molecule. So it makes a homogeneous solution, that is a salt plus water. So this is one of the example. The solid which is dissolved in a solvent. So to form a solution which is salt plus water. So next you can see the another example, the liquid which is dissolved in a liquid. So liquid which is dissolved in again a liquid. So that means the liquid which is as a solute and the solvent is also liquid phase. The best example which is alcohol in water. You know that generally the alcohol, definitely the alcohol is nothing but the water. So water definitely will be there in case of alcohols. So generally alcohol, by the alcohol combining with water, generally the liquid. So I will tell you exactly the liquid also here. So let us take some example, like you can take the oil in water, or you can take petrol in water. So petrol in water so these two particular mixtures are a heterogeneous mixture. And you can take the alcohol like methanol, CH3OH, and this dissolves in a water molecule, and this is a homogeneous solution. So this particular solution which is a homogeneous solution, and these two are the heterogeneous solution. Heteron is nothing but the difference, because oil, it cannot dissolve water molecule. You know that oil and water, it makes two solutions. So generally it makes two layers, whatever they are using the content. So whatever you can use any vessel, or you can take any something. So it will make two layers because it is a heterogeneous. So oil which cannot dissolve in water, even water also it cannot dissolve in the oil. So even you can take the petrol, it cannot dissolve in water. So generally it will make two layers. So that is heterogeneous solution, because one layer consists of oil and another layer will consisting of a water molecule. But in case of this alcohol like methanol dissolves in water. So methanol generally dissolves in a water molecule, And this part methanol, it can easily dissolve in a water molecule due to its hydrogen bonding, and it makes a homogeneous solution, that is a clear solution. So you will get only one layer, that is a liquid layer. So here also you will get, you are getting only liquid phase, but there are two liquid phase. So you will get two layers like this. So upper one layer and lower one layer. So generally the upper layer, which is whatever may be, the generally you can take the water layer here, and the organic layer, which is oil layer here. So you can take anything here. You have to understood that. So in a heterogeneous mixture, so liquid, and both the liquids are there, they will make a heterogeneous mixtures. You have to understood that. So this particular example, the alcohol, this and H2O, it is a homogeneous solution. It is a homogeneous solution. So not only this, so whatever I am taking the examples of all these things like alloys. So first of all, the example which is alloys. So you know that the alloys like brass and steel, they are a homogeneous. They are homogeneous. So if it is heterogeneous, you must get two separate layers. Like in the brass, like ittadi, steel. So steel lagani ittadi, brass. So you cannot get two separate layers. You will get only one thing, the steel or brass. So only it is a homogeneous. And you can take the mercury in copper as homogeneous, absorption of gases. So you have to understood these things. Salt plus water. So salt plus water, it will generally makes a homogeneous solution. Alcohol plus water, it makes also a homogeneous solution. Homogeneous nothing but only single layer, one layer. It forms only a clear solution with one phase. So you have to understood these things. So see here again the gas which is dissolved in a liquid phase. So this particular example also very important here. So generally the gases are dissolved in a liquid. So the best example which is CO2. You know that in the cool drinks generally CO2 will dissolve in a cool drinks. So generally CO2 when it is reacting with H2O, so what happens? You will get a compound which is H2CO3. So this is called the hydrogen carbonate. Hydrogen carbonate, or you can call it as a carbonic acid. Carbonic acid. So this particular carbonic acid, it indicates acid, generally it is having a sour taste. So generally the cool drinks will get a particular taste due to the formation of this particular acid, which is the carbonic acid. So generally in particular this particular cool drinks, so CO2 which is dissolved in a water molecule, that means the gas dissolves in a water molecule, the best example. And you can take the solid which is dissolved in a gaseous phase. The solid, it can dissolve in a gaseous phase. The solid which is smaller amount and gas is a larger amount. That is a smoke, dust or camphor in the nitrogen gas. So generally in the smoke, the dust particle, the solid particle, the small minute amount of generally the solid particle which are dissolved in a gaseous molecule. And you can take the liquid which is dissolved in a gas. Liquid which is dissolved in a gas. Generally the water vapor. So you know that the water vapor, so whatever the liquid which will be which completely dissolves in a gaseous phase, and you can take the gas as a solute and gas as a solvent. So it is a mixture of all the gases. So if you are adding some certain two mixtures like H2 is one of the gas, N2 is another gas. So mixture of these gases. So you will get a gas as a solute and gas as a solvent. So this particular table, so whatever I have written this particular table, you have to understood this table. So because you by using this table, we can understand that so solution is nothing but the combination of solute and the solvent. And this particular solute and solvent, the solute maybe it may be a solvent or liquid or gaseous phase. And the solvents also it may be solid and liquid and gaseous phase. So you have to understood these things. So a solute and solvent, either it may be a solid phase, liquid phase or gaseous phase. So these are all the examples. So these are the introduction of this particular solution. Now we will understand the solubility of gases in a liquid phase. So you have to understood the solubility of gases in a liquid phase. So we have to understood here that so there is a solubility of gases in a liquid phase. So that means you have to understood that a liquid is a solvent here and the gas which is a solute here. Small quantity of gas which is dissolved in a liquid. The best example that is a CO2. Generally the CO2 in the cool drinks is used. So generally in the cool drinks, generally CO2 which is dissolved in it. So this particular, the amount of whatever the CO2 which is dissolves in a water molecule, this is called the solubility. We will understand the solubility of gases in a liquids. So let me take the example of the CO2 and water. So first of all, what is the solubility? So solubility is nothing but the amount of solute is dissolved in a unit volume of particular solvent to form a saturated solution under given temperature and pressure. So it means nothing but at a particular temperature. So let us take a room temperature. Generally, let us take that is a 25 degrees Celsius. That is a room temperature. So at a particular room temperature, so something you are taking a solvent like this. So I will take a solvent here. So this is completely the solvent here. So this is completely solvent here. And now see here. So what happens? I'm adding the gas here. So this particular liquid, so which is the liquid here, and we are adding. So we are adding again the solute, which is as a gaseous phase. So gases are dissolved in a liquid. So like the CO2, which is dissolved in this particular liquid. So you can take the another example like in the oceans. So generally the oceans, so whatever may be rivers, so generally the oxygen. So oxygen gas will dissolve in a water molecule because the dissolved oxygen will be taken by the aquatic organisms for their inhalation purpose. And that means for their respiration, the oxygen is very, very important. But for the aquatic organism, the oxygen which is dissolved oxygen which is present in a water molecule. So the solubility of gases in a liquid. So we will understand how this particular gases are soluble in a liquid. The solubility is nothing but the amount of substance, amount of O2 or amount of CO2 which is dissolved in a water. So that we have to take as a unit value. That is one ml of you can take solute as a 1 gram. Solute as a 1 gram and the solvent. So this solute which is a solid phase, sorry, gaseous phase. So you can take as a 1 gram here and the whatever the solvent which is 1 liter of solution. So see here. So let us take the amount of solute which is dissolved in a unit volume of particular solvent to form a saturated solution under given temperature and pressure. So at a particular temperature, we will take the as a solubility. So you can easily explain that a solubility is nothing but the grams of solute dissolves in 1 liter of solvent at a temperature and pressure. So how many grams of solute are dissolved in 1 liter of solvent is called the solubility. So how many grams of solute dissolves in the volume of whatever the volume of solvent which is C here. So solubility generally it indicates the units will be gram per liter because generally you can take the gram. So 1 gram of 1 gram which is dissolved in 1 liter of solution. So that is a gram per liter and a mole per liter. So you can take as a moles. How many moles are dissolved in a 1 liter of solution? And the third one, which is the mole fraction, which is very, very important. So we will understand this mole fraction in detail further. So just see here the solubility of the gases in a liquid phase. So see here, let us understand one by one. See here the solubility. So first let us see the factors affecting the solubility of gas. So factors affecting the solubility of gas. So what are the factors which affects the solubility of gas? So how a particular gas will soluble in a liquid phase? So just now only I told you that O2 which is dissolved in a water molecule generally in the rivers or oceans because aquatic organisms will inhale the dissolved oxygen which is present in a water molecule. And you can take the CO2 which is dissolved in a water molecule, that is in case of cool drinks. So in case of cool drinks generally, so generally the cool drinks are dissolved, cool drinks generally consisting of CO2, and you have to understood that what are the factors which affects the dissolubility of these particular solutes, CO2 and the O2. So both are the solutes, they are dissolved in a water. So at what pressure, at what temperature, we will see certain factors which affects the solubility of gas. So first polarity of solute and solvent. So polarity is a key factor because so NaCl is a polar and H2O is also a polar. You know that NaCl and polar is nothing but simply ionic, because polar nothing but poles. So poles are nothing but the charges like positive charge and negative charge. Polar is nothing but the ionic nature. So you can see here NaCl, Na plus Cl minus. So you know that water also H plus OH minus. So these particular NaCl and H2O both are ionic, so that both are polar here. But CCl4 and benzene, they are non-polar. So you cannot get any charges like positive charge, negative charge here. Benzene also you cannot get. So that means polar solute and polar solvent will make a solution which is homogeneous. Which is a homogeneous. So again, a non-polar and non-polar also will make a homogeneous. So that means CCl4 it can easily dissolve in a benzene because both are non-polar, and NaCl it can easily dissolve in water because both are polar. So what happens if you take a polar solute and non-polar solvent? So that means you can take the example that is NaCl, which is dissolves in a benzene. So see here what happens here. So generally the NaCl, which is a polar, and this benzene is a non-polar. So it makes a two layers like this. So two layers will make a two layer, upper layer and lower layer. So whatever the denser liquid, so the denser whatever the liquid, so it will go downside, and the less denser it will be on the upper side. So you have to understood that. So by the combination of NaCl and benzene, you will get a heterogeneous, because two layers will be formed. Two layers here it is appearing here. So that means when a sodium chloride, when reacting with a water molecule, so it forms a homogeneous solution. CCl4 and benzene, it forms also a homogeneous solution. So the polarity must be same. So to soluble a gas in a liquid. So to understand this, a gas must be dissolved in a water molecule or in a liquid, so that the polarity must be same. So both the whatever the solute and solvent, they must be a same polar. Both are maybe a polar, or both may be a non-polar, but you cannot take one is polar and one is non-polar. So definitely you will get a heterogeneous two-layered mixture. So in case of polar and non-polar. So see here. So let us understand one by the polarity. And the next, the temperature. So the temperature is very important thing here. So whenever you are adding a solute to the solvent, so what happens generally here? So you can take here, you can understand here that, so when a solute dissolves in a solvent, it will make a solution. So if the reaction is endothermic, if the reaction is exothermic or endothermic, what happens? So what is the effect of temperature on the solubility of gas? So I will tell you exactly here. So what is endothermic? What is exothermic? Endothermic means generally the heat energy which is absorbed in a reaction mixture. The exothermic means it will release the amount of heat energy. So it will release the heat energy outside. So you have to understood that endothermic is nothing but heat energy is absorbed. So that means here the H, which is a positive, the heat energy which is a positive, and here the heat energy which is negative, because it is releasing out here. So this particular two cases you have to understood that. So endothermic means positive. Endo means inside. Inside it must be absorbed. So here the heat energy which is the delta H, generally it is the H will be a positive, that is a endothermic. So here in case of this, the temperature is directly relation with the solubility, but for the exothermic reaction, the temperature is inversely relation with the solubility. So you have to understood these things also, because let us take the endothermic reaction and exothermic reaction. So endothermic reaction means it must absorb. So that means if you are adding heat energy, so it will generally it is called the endothermic reaction. If you are giving the heat energy, if you are supplying the heat energy, so generally it is called the heat energy. So if you are not supplying directly, the reaction will gives out whatever the heat energy. So generally it will separates the heat energy, so to the outside. So you have to understood that in a exothermic reaction, the reaction which will expels the heat energy. So the temperature is inversely relation with the solubility in case of exothermic, and directly relation with the endothermic reactions. So because endothermic itself, it indicates the inside, so it must observe. Hence the temperature it must be increases so that the solubility will be increases. But in case of exothermic, it is actually it is releasing the heat energy. That means the heat energy it is decreasing. So you cannot again add the temperature so to increase the solubility of a gas. So to increase the solubility for the exothermic, we have to decrease the temperature. So that things you should remember here. So the major effect, the major factor is actually the important thing, which is the pressure. Pressure. So pressure is which is very important thing. So because so we are talking about the solubility of gas in a liquid. So we are talking about the gas in a liquid, how the gases are dissolved in a liquid. So this particular gas which is dissolved in a liquid, so how a gas is dissolved in a liquid. So the major factors, it includes the temperature and pressure. The pressure is a key factor because pressure can easily affect the gas. So by you can take I will take the example like this. So this you can take a vessel and I will take a piston like this. So this is a piston and you can take the gaseous molecules like this. And if you compress this particular gas, so if you compress the gas, so if you compress, that means if you make the piston to downwards, so you are compressing the particular gas, so generally you will get a liquid phase. So that means here we are compressing the gas so to get a liquid phase. So or you can expand this piston. So if we can easily expand this particular piston so to the outside, that means the gases will evaporate. So the pressure is a key factor for the gases. So to affect a gas, there must be a pressure. So pressure which is a which will which affects major in case of the gaseous phase comparing with the solid and liquid phase. So you cannot do any something with the liquid phase and solid phase by using the pressure. So that means you can increase the pressure or you can decrease the you can increase the pressure or you can decrease the pressure. There is no much effect with the solid phase. But here, so you have to understood that. So by the variation of this pressure, the solubility will change. So let us understand this by using the Henry's law, which is very important thing. So this is very important thing, and this will come in the examinations, the Henry's law. So before this, all I have whatever the thing I told in the first, that is completely the introduction, and this Henry's law, which is very important because the gases they can easily dissolve in a liquid. So by increasing the pressure, that can be explained with the Henry's law. So Henry's law, he told that the solubility of gas in a liquid is directly proportional to the partial pressure of that gas above the liquid surface. So that means we have to understood that. So if you increase the pressure, the solubility definitely it will increases. So the point you should remember that. So see here, the solubility which is directly relation with the partial pressure, and the solubility which can consider by using the concentration, that is a mole fraction. So this it is not x, actually it is called the zeta. It is called the zeta. So it indicates the concentration, that is the mole fraction. Mole fraction. So the amount of whatever the solute, amount of a solute which is dissolved in 1 liter of solution, that is called the solubility. That can be represented with the mole fraction, the symbol which is zeta. So the mole fraction of gas which is in a liquid, which is directly relation with the pressure. So you have to understood this particular relation. So see here, so I will take the example of CO2. I will take the example of CO2 so that you can easily understand. So see here, so let us take a CO2 gas. Again, I'm taking a cool drink like this. So I will take a cool drink. So you know that the cool drink is consisting of H2O and there is a CO2 which is also dissolved in a water molecule. And here, what is a Henry's law? Henry's law is nothing but the solubility of a gas can increase by using the increase of pressure. So if you apply the more amount of pressure, then you will get the more solubility of gas in a liquid phase. So that means if you increase the pressure of CO2, So then you can easily increase the solubility of CO2 dissolves in a water molecule. So see, you can understand that generally in the cool drinks, so if you open the lid, generally it fizzes out by using the sound. So that means you should understand that the pressure it will releases more here. So when you open the lid of a cool drink, generally it fizzes like a, it fizzes generally. So that means here the pressure will comes out from the bottle here. So you have to understood that. So by increasing the pressure, so in a cool drinks generally, we will keep on, will completely compress the CO2 gas by using a excess amount of pressure, so that the CO2 gas it can easily dissolve in a water molecule. అంటే సింపుల్ గా చెప్పాలంటే CO2 ని ఎంత కంప్రెస్ చేసి ఎంత అందులో పెడితే అంత ఈజీగా డిజాల్వ్ అయి ఉంటుంది. అదే ఇప్పుడు ఉదాహరణకి అదే కంప్రెస్ చేయకపోతే, ఇఫ్ యు ఆర్ నాట్ యూజింగ్ ద ప్రెషర్, what happens, the CO2 it cannot dissolve in a water molecule. So see here, so I will tell you the exactly the CO2 when it is dissolved in water molecule, so you will get a compound. This is H2CO3. So this is called the carbonic acid. Carbonic acid. So carbonic acid, so acid, you know that it is having a sour taste. Sour taste is nothing but something somewhat కొంచెం పుల్లగా ఉంటుంది కదా. సో మీకు స్ప్రైట్ కానీ థమ్స్అప్ తాగినప్పుడు మీకు తెలుస్తుంది. సో స్ప్రైట్ తాగినప్పుడు కొంచెం పుల్లగా వస్తుంది. ఎందుకు వస్తుంది అంటే, సో జనరల్లీ ఇట్ కన్సిస్టింగ్ ఆఫ్ H2CO3. సో దట్ ఈస్ ఎ కార్బోనిక్ యాసిడ్. యాసిడ్ అంటేనే లైట్ గా పుల్లగా వస్తుంది కాబట్టి మనకు ఆ టేస్ట్ వస్తుంది. సో కూల్ డ్రింక్స్కి వచ్చే టేస్ట్ ఎందుకు అంటే, డ్యూ టు ద ఫార్మేషన్ ఆఫ్ దిస్ పర్టికులర్ యాసిడ్. సో ఇది ఎప్పుడు జరుగుతుంది అంటే, వెన్ ఎవర్ ద CO2 ఈస్ ప్రెసెంట్. సో CO2 ప్రెసెంట్ అయితేనే ఇది వస్తుంది, అప్పుడే మనకు టేస్ట్ వస్తుంది. సో ఈ CO2 లేకపోతే ఆ టేస్ట్ రాదు. ఒట్టి వాటరే ఉందనుకున్నాను, యూ కెనాట్ గెట్ ఎనీ టేస్ట్ హియర్. సో బై ఇంక్రీజింగ్ ద ప్రెషర్, we can increase the solubility. So that means if we apply the more amount of pressure, so CO2 will more completely dissolves in a water. So it can easily combine with the water molecule to form a carbonic acid. So to give whatever you will get a taste now. So if you open the lid, so generally the pressure will decreases. So pressure will decreases generally. So what happens? The CO2 will easily escapes. So from the cool drink bottle, so the remaining water will be there. So you cannot get any taste. So you have to understood that these things. సో సింపుల్ గా చెప్పాలంటే, ఒకసారి మూత ఓపెన్ చేసినామంటే ఒక 2 minutes తర్వాత కూడా తాగి చూడండి మీరు, అసలు టేస్టే రాదు. అంటే ఓపెన్ చేసి వెంటనే తాగిన దానికి, ఓపెన్ చేసి ఒక 10 minutes తర్వాత తాగిన దానికి దెర్ ఇస్ ఎ హ్యూజ్ డిఫరెన్స్, బికాస్ ద టేస్ట్ అనేది చాలా మారిపోతుంది. సో ఫస్ట్ ఒకవేళ ఓపెన్ చేసి వెంటనే తాగితే CO2 అనేది ఫుల్ కంప్రెస్డ్ తోని ప్యాక్ అయ్యి అందులో ఉంటుంది. సో కంప్లీట్ గా CO2 డిజాల్వ్ అయి ఉంటుంది. సో అందుకే మీకు H2CO3 తోని యూ విల్ గెట్ ఎ సర్టెన్ టేస్ట్. బట్ వెన్ యూఆర్ ఓపెన్ ఏ లిడ్, ఓపెన్ చేసి ఒక 10 నిమిషాల తర్వాత తాగితే అప్పటికి 10 minutes లో CO2 మొత్తం ఎస్కేప్ అవుతుంది. బికాస్ ద ప్రెషర్ వీఆర్ డిక్రీజింగ్, ద CO2 విల్ ఎస్కేప్స్, అండ్ సో దట్ వీ విల్ రిమైనింగ్ ఓన్లీ వాటర్ విల్ బి దేర్. మీకు వాటర్ ఏం టేస్ట్ రాదు. సో అందుకే టేస్ట్ అలా ఉంటుంది. సో దిస్ హెన్రీస్ లా విచ్ ఈస్ వెరీ వెరీ ఇంపార్టెంట్. ద సాల్యుబిలిటీ ఆఫ్ గ్యాస్ increases by the increase of pressure. The solubility అనేది it represents with a mole fraction, that is zeta. So I will tell you exactly what is this zeta. So the solubility. So let us understand one by one. So see here. So let us understand some mathematical relation with this Henry's law. The solubility which is directly relation with the partial pressure. So that is a mole fraction is directly relation with the pressure. So here the partial pressure, so P naught indicates the partial pressure. So the you can take simply called as a pressure. There is no inner meaning with the partial pressure. So there is a difference with the partial pressure and pure pressure. So that we will explain later on. So you have to understand, you can simply call it as a pressure now itself. So if you increase the pressure, so the mole fraction will increases. That means the amount of solute which is dissolves in a solvent which will increases, the solubility increases. So see here, so the pressure which is directly relation with the, so pressure is directly relation with the, so see here, so pressure is directly relation with the mole fraction of the gas. So if you increase the pressure, so that means the solubility will increases. So hence generally pressure increases, the solubility increases. The solubility is expressed with the mole fraction of gas. So that means the moles of solute which is dissolved in a solution. That is the mole fraction. And the pressure of a gas which is equal to Kh into X gas. That is a zeta gas. That is a mole fraction of gas. So here Kh is called a constant which is called Henry constant. So this is called Henry constant, and there is a mole fraction of gas in a liquid, and this is a partial pressure of the gas. So here this Kh, and you can Kh, it can be calculated like this. So you can take this X gas, the mole fraction. So this zeta, it comes towards to left side. Then the Kh, the Henry constant, which is equal to pressure of gas with the mole fraction of the gas. So what is the units here? So the units, so generally the pressure, generally atoms, atmospheric pressure, R bar, you can take the mmHg. So but the mole fraction, it is not having the units. So generally the mole fraction, it is not having any units. So because the mole fraction is nothing but the amount of solute by the total number of solute and solvent. So I will tell you exactly later, but simply you have to understood that solute dissolved by solution. So you will get you will get the units. There is no units for the mole fraction. So you have to understood that here the units of the Henry constant will be exactly similar with the pressure units like atmospheric, R bar, or mmHg. So see here, we will draw a particular graph. So this graph will explain the Henry's graph. So see here. So here you have to understand that the P naught. So P is generally, so just now only I told you that P is directly relation with the mole fraction of gas. So if you increase the pressure, the mole fraction increases. So see here. So if you increase the pressure, so the mole fraction again increases. Increase the go on increasing the pressure, the mole fraction increases. So see here. So you will get a particular curve, so particular line like this. So the slope of this, which can be calculated as a tan theta. So so there is no that much mathematics here. So simply you can understand that. So by using a Henry's law, you can draw this particular graph. That is a P is directly relation with the X, and you can write P is equal to Kh into the zeta, and partial pressure is on y-axis. That is y is equal to mx graph here. So that is y, in place of y, I'm writing partial pressure, and next in place of x-axis we are writing the mole fraction, and the slope which is indicated, the slope which is m, which is equal to the slope, the tan theta generally, which is equal to the Henry's constant. So you will get the slope which is Henry constant. So these things you should remember here. And here one thing you have to understood these things also. So why? Because so here the P is directly relation with X, the solubility, the zeta. P is equal to K Henry constant into the mole fraction of gas. So what is the mole fraction? So the mole fraction relation with the Kh. So what is the relation of this mole fraction with the Henry's constant? So here P is equal to Kh into the mole fraction. So mole fraction of gas. So that means the mole fraction of gas, which is equal to P by Kh. So that means here the mole fraction is inversely relation with the solubility constant. So if you are having the excess of Henry constant, that means there is a less solubility. If it is very less Henry's constant, that means the more solubility is there. So I will show you some examples. So see here. So the Henry constant, those are such a, so see here, these are some of the examples. So helium, which is the Henry constant, which is 140. So 140 here, the hydrogen gas, which is 75 kilobar, K is nothing but kilobar, and the O2, which is 35 here. So see here. So see here. So 140, which is very high, so the solubility will generally decreases. So you can take this H2 and this H2, which is also the 75. So it is somewhat lesser than this. So hence it is soluble. O2, which is again the Henry constant, which is 35. Again, So this particular, so see here, O2 which is having very less Henry constant, so it is highly soluble. So remember here, the Henry constant Kh inversely relation with the solubility. So the pressure is directly relation with the solubility. So these two relations we have to understand that if you increase the pressure, the solubility will increases. So the value, the constant, the Henry constant, if it is very high, the solubility will decreases. If the Henry constant is very low, then the solubility will increases. So these are some of the examples. So this particular Henry constant generally it is directly relation with the even with the temperature. So if you increase the temperature, the Henry constant will increases. So generally the aquatic organisms, so the aquatic organisms are comfortable in the cold water, because the cold water that is very less temperature, that is very less KH value, because the KH is directly relation with the temperature. So in the cold water the temperature is very low and the KH is very low. So KH is very low, that means the solubility will increases, because they are inversely relation with each other. The solubility of O2, the solubility of O2, the oxygen which is completely dissolves in a cold water more than hot water. So that means the oxygen which is more easily dissolves in cold water than hot water. So the aquatic organisms are generally comfortable in the cold water generally. So you have to understand these three relations. So once again, I am telling you the Henry's law, which is P is directly relation with the mole fraction of the gas. That is nothing but the solubility. Nothing but the solubility. So P is directly relation with the solubility. P is directly relation with the solubility, nothing but the mole fraction of the gas. And the KH is inversely relation with the solubility. And the KH is directly relation with the temperature. So these three relations you have to understood that. So all this comes from the Henry's law. So Henry's law, he particularly explained as the solubility of gases dissolves in a liquid. So in this particular solutions chapter, we will understand this. So this Henry's law, so is completely explain the solubility of gases in a liquids. So we will see the application of this Henry's law and what are the limitations for this particular Henry's law. So see here, what are the applications of this Henry's law? So there are three applications. One is CO2. So see here, first of all, let us take the cool drinks. So first, in case of the cool drinks, generally, what happens in case of the cool drinks? So generally, in case of the cool drinks, if you increase the pressure, so generally the CO2 will dissolve more, so that we'll get a carbonic acid. So we'll get a particular taste. So if the pressure is decreased, the solubility of CO2 will decreases, and we cannot get the taste of that particular cool drink. So the first application with the cool drinks. And the second one, which is the anoxia disease. So it is also called the mental confusion at higher altitudes like mountains, due to decrease in pressure in turn causes to the decrease of solubility of O2 in blood. So that is very, very important thing here, that so anoxia is a disease or it is a condition. So generally it is occurs at a mountain or higher altitude. So you have to understand one thing here, that so when you go higher altitude, so see here, so let us take, if you are going to higher altitudes like this. So see here. So when you are going to higher altitudes, generally at top mountain regions like this. So when you are going to higher regions, so generally from top to bottom, the pressure is increases or decreases. So you have to understood these things here. So when you go generally upper, so that is at mountains, at higher altitudes and lower altitudes. So generally at higher altitudes, so generally the pressure is very low. Pressure generally it is very low. So I'm talking about only with the pressure which is very low at higher, and in the lower altitudes like deep sea, so you will get the very, very high pressure. high pressure. So why, what is the reason actually? So you can you know already that. So generally there are many gases in the atmosphere. So let us take layers like this. So these are the layers like in the atmosphere of the gases. So generally there may be oxygen layer, CO2, or the nitrogen gas, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, oxygen. So in the atmosphere there may be generally the mixture of different gases. So generally at higher altitudes and lower altitudes. So at higher altitudes there will be less layers, but at the lower altitude there will be many layers on the top of that particular region. So in this particular region and here in this particular region. So at higher altitudes, so it is at higher altitudes. So it is higher altitude. That means the mountains, and here which is deep sea, which is very low. So which is very bottom. So see here. So what is the difference between those two things? So here you should understand one thing that, so in case of the higher mountains, so in case of the higher altitudes, so generally the pressure which is very low, because there is no other upper layers on above it. So again in case of the deep sea, the pressure which is very high, pressure which is very high. So pressure which is very high because there are many higher layers on the upper side of that particular layer. So you have to understand one thing that if you, when you go downside, so generally the pressure will increases. When you go up, that is at mountains, the pressure will decreases. So that thing you should remember here. So see here what happens. So when you go the mountain, the pressure will increases. So when you go top, the pressure will increases, the pressure will increases. So what happens, the pressure increases, the pressure is directly relation with the solubility. So sorry, it is not increases, it is decreases. So see here, so it is not increases, actually it is a decreases. So when you go downside the mountains, the pressure will decreases. So pressure is directly relation with the solubility of gas. That means here the pressure which is very low, the solubility which is also very low here. That means the amount of O2, the oxygen which is less dissolves in our blood. So you have to understand one thing that when you go top to these mountains, the pressure which is very low and the solubility of O2 in our blood which is also very low here. That means there is difficulty to breathe at higher altitudes, because we cannot get a sufficient amount of O2. So because the O2 it cannot dissolve completely, it cannot dissolve completely in a blood, because the pressure is very low, the solubility of O2 which is very low, hence we will feel very generally we feel very uncomfortable in the breathing case. So generally the particular disease which is called the anaxia, which is a mental condition where the breathing generally the breathing problems will occur. So the oxygen it cannot available for the breathing. So because the oxygen which is completely, it is not dissolved in a blood. So the condition, so here this is also one of the application of the Henry's law. This is the second application. And you can take the third application at the deep sea. So that is at the deep sea. That is the scuba divers. Scuba divers. Scuba is nothing but scuba divers. Nothing but whatever the swimming contestants, the swimming participants. So they will go deeper to the sea, and they can swim in the bottom of the sea. So see what happens. So when you go downside, the pressure which is increases. So pressure increases, that means the solubility increases. That means the O2 in blood, O2 and blood which will increases. So what happens? The excess amount of O2, which is also very difficult, because you will get a disease called the bends. So this condition and here this anoxia, these two conditions are very important thing. So because at higher altitude, the disease, the mental condition which is called anoxia, at lower conditions we will call it as a Bend's disease. So what happens this? So see here, so the Bend's is nothing but So there is an accumulation of excess gas in a whatever the blood. So generally in case of the deep sea, at very low region, the pressure is very high, too much high. So most of the gases, they can easily dissolve in our blood, like nitrogen, oxygen. So they will dissolve the nitrogen and oxygen. So both the gases, they can easily dissolve in a blood. So they will dissolve excess. So they can easily accumulate in the blood. So what happens? So there is a condition called bends. So to avoid this, generally the scuba divers will take helium. So to avoid this, generally this particular scuba divers, they will take the helium. So helium with the oxygen cylinder. So that means they will take the O2 with the helium which is, that means this O2 gas cylinder, O2 cylinder is diluted with some amount of helium. So what happens? Helium is actually inert gas. So helium, what happens? Helium will, so that the helium, it can easily, so see, can avoid the accumulation of excess amount of O2 or N2 in the blood. That means actually this helium is an inert gas. It cannot dissolve in generally in the blood. So what happens? So generally it's O2 and N2, both the gases are generally, they are dissolving in a blood. So the O2 and N2, they are accumulated in the blood. So helium, what happens? The helium, which is inert gas, so it cannot dissolve in the blood generally. So what happens? This helium will avoid the accumulation of this O2 and N2 when you mix with this O2, when you mix with this O2 gas. So the O2, generally the cylinders are diluted with the helium gas for the scuba divers. So this is also one of the application of the Henry's law. So these three things you should remember here. And this Henry's law, the applications are with these three types. One is cold drinks, and the next at higher altitudes, that is anoxia disease, and the at lower altitude, generally the disease which is Band's disease. To avoid this, generally the cylinders are diluted with the helium gas. These are the applications. And you can take the next, the limitations. Limitations are also something. So limitations are also important, because the Henry's law, which is actually, it is applicable for the only ideal gas. So I will tell you exactly what is ideal gas in the next class. But see here the ideal gas. So the limit here, the Henry's law, it is only applicable to some specific gas. So what is an ideal gas? Ideal gas. So I will tell you this ideal solution, ideal gas, ideal whatever the liquids, I will tell you exactly later on. But this particular Henry's law, which is only applicable at specific conditions, that is the temperature should not be very low. Temperature should not be very low. So here these things are also very important. Temperature should not be too low. The pressure should not be too high. So pressure should not be too high, and the temperature should not be too low, and gas should not be. So these are the limitations. So if the temperature which is too low, if it is temperature too low, or the temperature, if the pressure is very high, so this law, it cannot applicable. That means the law, what is actually the pressure which is directly relation with the solubility. So here the pressure which is directly relation with the solubility. So but this particular law which is applicable only at some conditions. If the pressure is very high, this law, it cannot applicable. So because, so this is not an ideal gas, that I will explain in the later on. So these are the limitations, and this whatever I have just now told you, the applications of the Henry's law. So these are the applications of the Henry's law. So now I will, so see here, I will show you again the table. So see here. So here, so just now only I told you about the gases dissolves in a liquid. So solubility of gas dissolves in a liquid. So actually the chapter which includes the solutions. So in this particular solution, we will deal with the solutions of two types. So we will study the solutions of two types. So in our chapter, the solution, we will deal with the two types. So one is liquid dissolves in a liquid, and the second case, which is gas dissolves in a liquid. So gas dissolves in a liquid, that can be explained with the Henry's law. So today we have completed this itself. So in the next session, we'll complete the liquid which is dissolves in a liquid. So the Henry's law, which can show the gases, how gases are dissolved in a liquid. But in case of the liquid and liquid, so in the next session, we'll complete the liquid and liquid, how liquids are dissolved in a liquid. So this is Henry's law, and the next law, which is Raoult's law, that is the for the liquids dissolves in a liquid, that I will tell you in the next class. So okay, thank you.